Hi, hello creatives, welcome back or to my channel. My name is Lindsay and today we are doing a collage art journal with me spread. I want to take you through my steps that I take when I do a page. I know that these videos tend to be pretty popular on my channel and I want to maybe give you some pointers on some things that I do, and maybe you could take these tips and tricks and put it for yourself so that you can start collaging if that's something you want to do. I know it can look quite intimidating, but it is the total opposite. There is no right or wrong. There may be an image that you have in your mind or different spreads that you've seen that you want yours to look like that, but you just have to start, because everything in life, practice makes perfect. But in this scenario, I don't think there's no such thing as a perfect spread. I think that, or maybe I mean perfect spread to yourself, but there's no right or wrong, especially when it comes to collaging. So what I do as step one is I obviously choose different magazines. I like to challenge myself to only use things from one specific magazine or multiple magazines, but I know a lot of people use stickers and different craft paper, and there's a lot of materials out there, but I like to show everyone that you don't need everything. You don't need all of the things to do a simple collage spread. So I think I used 2 magazines for this page, and I go through my magazines and I find any picture or page that speaks to me. I rip out the entire page. I don't start cutting anything until I have all the pages that I want to use. So I pull out all of those pages. As you saw at the beginning, I had them all as full pages, and then I went through and cut out individually the things that I wanted to use from those pages. So you don't have to, as a tip, you don't have to use everything you cut out. You can not use something because the color scheme, you went in a different way. It could be that you just didn't like it, or you didn't have the room for it, or you liked it at the beginning but then realized it doesn't really go with your page, or you don't want to use it anymore. You don't have to have a true reason. It's just if you don't want to use something that you've cut out, you don't have to. I have a scrap box of things that I have cut out before that I never ended up using on that page, and I will challenge myself later to do a page of only scraps. I have done it before on my channel, but I think that was more of like scraps of like creative journaling, of using like craft paper and different like scrapbook paper. But I want to challenge myself and just use the magazine clippings from previous collaging spreads and just try and see what I can come up with. So as I'm going here, I knew my one thing that I had in my brain going into this spread is I wanted to cover the entire page. That was the only thing I knew that I was doing, and that's just something that I had in my brain that I wanted to do. So I went through the magazines knowing that I wanted to cover the page, so I wanted to find a lot of background pages, which, as you see, of just plain solid gray or plain black, or a landscape in some way, beach, some sort of architecture, that sort of thing that I wanted to put in the background. I like to use these shape punches, and I have a hexagon one and I have a circle one, but you don't need to have the fancy punch to cut out different shapes. It definitely does make it easier, but I know those things can be quite expensive, but you can very easily just use scissors to cut out those shapes. So as I'm doing here, I wanted to have a drop shadow. I saw this from Brianna Collins. This is where I got a bunch of my inspiration for this spread. She does a lot of the shadow with different like book pages that you'll see on the left side of the lady's face that I used. And then I just start gluing. I tend to, at the very beginning, I like to kind of lay things out to see how I like it, to kind of get a feel of how I want to lay out my page. But then as I start gluing, I'm not married to those ideas. I can very easily change things around if I start to like something different, or I added something that I didn't originally think I was going to add, or I take away something. So I don't have to decide to glue that one item in the spot that I thought I was going to glue it down, I guess. Things can change. Your mood can change throughout you doing it. Different ideas come to mind, whatever it may be. So I started to glue things down. I think another great tip is don't overthink it. Don't get too much in your head to think that, oh, I want it to look this specific way. I want it to be this type of theme, or this type of feel, or this type of aesthetic. Just start to glue stuff down and see where it takes you. Don't get too much into your head to think that, oh, well, this is not what this person did, or this doesn't. Just glue stuff down. And as I mentioned before, practice maybe doesn't make perfect spreads, especially not when it comes to collage art. I don't think there's a perfect spread. I think maybe you can make a perfect spread, but to somebody else it wouldn't be a perfect spread. This is a way for you to express your creativity, express yourself on paper. Maybe you don't know how to write your feelings down in words. That maybe you would prefer doing something like this to express your emotions and things that you're going through. That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to journal with words. You can journal with pictures and different doodles, and that way. So what did I use here? You don't just wake up and become the butterfly. You grow. Growth is a process. So that is a great quote to use just in your day-to-day life when it comes to journaling. Growth is a process. Growth, you can't just wake up and become that butterfly. Things take time. And so I think you have to trust the path. Trust that you're on the right path, or trust that your instincts will take you on that right path that you need to go, or want to go, or are desired to go. So I think that's a beautiful quote, especially for what I'm talking to you and preaching to you about. I hope that you do find some inspiration in this video. I hope that some of my tips and tricks that I've said throughout this video inspires you. Another tip I have is maybe do it in sections. Don't overwhelm yourself too much by trying to do so much at one time. For an example, I like to glue all of my magazine clippings down first, and then I like to add doodles. Maybe you like to do things, you'd like to do one page at a time, but maybe try this way if the other way wasn't working for you, and so you add your doodles and stuff in after. This is a way that I always like to journal. And again, try with just basics. Try just grabbing a magazine, cutting out some pictures, and gluing it onto a piece of paper. It doesn't even have to be a notebook if you're too intimidated to use a notebook. Just grab a piece of paper. But I am finishing up this spread. I absolutely love how this one came out. It's, I think, one of my favorites. But I hope you like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of the things. It means so much to me. I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye!